Episode number 4, when you help your company find adequate solutions for causes, implement them, and validate improvement. So you're going to continue. So let's move to next phase, that is improve phase. But before we move ahead, let's quickly recap. In define phase, we define what is the problem. We develop project charter and check where is the problem. In measure phase, we find probable causes with fishbone diagram and prioritize critical causes with CI matrix. Then we measure how deep is the problem with capability analysis. In analyze phase, we use statistical test named the chi-square test to further prioritize statistically significant causes. No, kind of a prioritization 2.0, right? All that. Now in improve phase, we will find out solutions to fix these statistically significant causes. We will prioritize solutions, then make solution implementation plan, implement these solutions and validate improvement by comparing improve phase performance with major phase performance. So are we ready to go to first step of improve phase, or we can have a 15 minutes free break? Operation manager slide. Let's take 15-minute break and come back. We will finish improve phase and then take lunch break for 1 hour. Will it be okay with everyone? And of course, coach, will it be okay? You replied, oh, sure, sir. So after 15 minutes break, you're continuing. Great. So let's continue with improve phase. First step in improve phase is ideation, that is brainstorming for generating probable solutions. Like in measure phase, you brainstorm probable causes. Here in improve phase, we need to discuss probable solutions. And please do remember, no solution is irrelevant. You need to come up with as many probable solutions as possible that you think and can fix significant causes. Once we have a list of probable solutions, next step is prioritization or refining solutions, just like CI matrix in measure phase. CI matrix has controllability and impactability as two scanners. Here, each probable solution needs to go through 4 scanners of 1. How impactful is the given solution? Second, how cost effective is it? Third, how feasible is given solution to deploy? And fourth, can senior management approve implementation of a given solution? Here, rate each solution on the scale of 1 to 3. 1 is low and 3 is high. Solutions with higher solution priority score or index will be prioritized further. Operations assistant manager asks, what is solution priority score or index? You replied, when you rate each of the solutions against 4 scanners, solution priority score or index is a multiplication of all 4 ratings for each of the scanner for a given solution. Likewise, every solution will have solution priority score or index. So in next 2 hours, first of all, comes up with a list of probable solutions. Then on whiteboard, we'll write them down, and then you need to discuss possible ratings for each scanner for each solution. And finally, we will draw a solution priority number for every solution. Will it be okay? Operations team replied, yes. You responded, great then, happy solutioning. So for next 2 hours, you facilitated the process of solutioning and refining the solutions, with the help of whiteboard and those 4 scanners and ratings, and then finally, calculating solution priority index or solution priority number. So on next few slides, you will see what you done in next couple of hours. So after 2 hours, this is what we have. So these are the causes we had, and these are the significant causes we found in analyze phase. And team brainstormed the solution. So for each causes, you could say team came up with a probable solutions, right? And as we already mentioned, no solution is an irrelevant solution. So they came up with possible probable solutions, what they think can fix the given cause. So these are the solutions or ideas, we could call it. Then for second statistically significant cause, these are the four ideas or to be or would be solutions. For third cause, of course, these are the five ideas they came up with. And for fourth cause, they came up with the three ideas. Let's go to next slide. Right, so here we could see this is solution priority indexing or solution refining phase. This is the template, the causes and the solutions we could see over here, right? And then every single solution or every single idea should go through all four scanners. How impactful its given idea is, how cost effective is it, how feasible is it to deploy, and finally, can senior management approve, or allow to implement this given solution. And each and every solution based on these four scanners should be rated with either 1, 2, or 3. 1 is low and 3 is high. So likewise, team carried out this solution refining or solution priority indexing exercise. And based on that, each and every solution got its own solution priority index, right? So higher the solution priority index, the potential of implementing that solution is relatively higher because that solution is highly prioritized solution, right? So that or highly potential solution in that case, right? So this is what we carried out or you carried out with the team, over next couple of hours. These are the next two causes and their solutions, and these are the solution priority index for those solutions. Right. So this is what we are done with the first step or other first two steps of the improve phase. Our very first step, of course, is to find out the probable solutions, and then second step is find out the potential, or for that matter, find out important or critical solutions out of the probable solutions list with the help of solution refining exercise. So once we are done with that, we are going to continue now. Hope we are done. So let's move to next phase. We finalize on solutions to be implemented. Now we need to prepare solution implementation plan and pass it on to team for deployment. Team means operations team to deploy it. We will deploy solutions for a short-term basis. Say for a month, it is called a pilot implementation. After that, we will validate whether solutions implemented have shown a reduction in problem. In other words, whether solution implementation gave a certain sort of improvement in the performance or not. Once problem reduction is validated statistically, then we continue implementing these solutions for long-term basis. But that little later. For time being, to implement solutions on short-term basis, we have to prepare a solution implementation plan. This plan comprises following attributes. 1, significant causes. 2, prioritize solutions for implementations. 3, timeline of implementation. 4, expected result. 5, responsible to implement. Who is the responsible person to implement? 6, who should ensure that solutions are implemented on time? That is, who is accountable and ensure that solutions are implemented on time. 7, status of solution implementation. And 8, confirmation of solution implementation. So all these 8 parameters are part of solution implementation plan. So let's go to next slide. We continue. Solution implementation plan mainly allocate timeline of solution implementations, responsible person to implement it, authority who ensure solutions are implemented on time by responsible person or team, and finally status of implementation with proof. As we all can agree, solutions implementation is most important step of the problem solving project. We can prioritize problem, we can prioritize causes, we can prioritize solutions, but what if team don't implement the solutions on time? Can we solve the problem? No, right? Hence, management should ensure that solutions are implemented on time. So far, so good. Operations team. Yes, you responded. Any doubt or question? Operations team. No. You replied, splendid. Then let's prepare a solution implementation plan for our current project in next 1 hour. So the next 1 hour, you facilitated the process of building solution implementation plan with the team and pass it on to the operations manager. So let's go through it and understand the solution implementation plan. What kind of a solution implementation plan you with team have built. Let's go to next slide. But prior to that, of course, pilot phase planning and pilot execution. So pilot project will be implemented for a short period of 5 weeks. It has two sub phases. Phase one, solutions sensitization for 1 week. A brief session is conducted with ground level team because they're supposed to implement it for a short period of time, right? So a brief session is conducted with ground level team. Project problem, important causes, probable solutions will be communicated to ground level team. Probable challenges to implement solutions will be discussed, and a week's time is allocated for solutions implementation and sensitization. Why we need sensitization? Because you are going to come up with a new solution. That's a new change, and we have to give some time to team to adjust with the change. You just can't expect that within a fraction of second they'll start implementing the solutions or start adjusting with the change. No, you have to give them some time to start adjusting with the change, and that time is a sensitization time, and that act is a sensitization act, right? Next point. Solutions implementation plan is shared with operations manager, who further hand it over to supervisor and team leader. Supervisor is also called team leader in few of the companies, and assistant manager, who supposed to implement the solution implementation plan. Process TL is team leader, will track the challenges to deploy solutions and fix it. If needed, he should seek support from assistant manager and operational or project manager. Again, in few companies, they call it operational manager, operations manager. In other company, they call it project manager or process manager. Okay. So after 1 week, the review meeting is going to be conducted to review the progress, whether team really got sensitized, what different challenges they are facing, and are they now ready to implement it, or have you implemented solutions in a week's time? So all these things will be discussed in that review meeting. Phase two, improve phase data collection plus improvement validation. It will take 4 weeks. So we started with solution sensitization for 1 week, and then that's phase one. Now phase two, improve phase data collection plus improvement validation for 4 weeks. So improve phase data collection for project Y will be commenced from second week. Is improvement attained? Will be validated based on adequate statistical test and capability analysis. Results will be shared with authorities and improvement will be assessed. Let's go to solutions implementation plan. So this is what solution implementation plan you have built with the team. So you have a causes over here, then we have prioritized solutions for those causes, then timeline to implement, right? So by when you're supposed to implement this given solution. It's not like 6 months and 8 months. No, you got to come up with such a solution that can be implemented easily, and that's why one of the important scanner we had in solution refining phase was feasibility of implementing the solution, right? So can we implement those solutions? Those solutions could be impactable, could be cost effective, but can we implement it? And that point is very important for this particular column. So if that solution is easily implementable, then only we are going to consider that solution. So if it is easily implementable, we got to implement it in a week's time, for that matter, 10 to 15 days time. And it should not be difficult for ground level team to implement those solutions, right? So for this particular column, that scanner is very important. So if we have selected any solution, right, or if we have refined or prioritized critical or potential solutions, which these are, so all these solutions are highly impactable, highly cost effective. And we also have clients consent to implement these solutions, of client or senior management's approval to implement these solutions. And importantly, those are feasible to implement, right? So timeline of implementation, expected results. So what are we going to expect after implementing these solutions? Then responsible person to implement. Then who should ensure solutions are implemented, like who's accountable and who will ensure that assistance manager with the help of TL implemented these solutions on time. This is the timeline, on time implemented these solutions. Status of solution implementation, whether you have completed the solution implementation or is it work in progress. WIP means in progress, for that matter, or you have not even initiated, right? So all three possibilities are there. So ideally, assistant manager need to ensure that all solutions are either implemented, completed, or in progress, right? So project manager should ensure that not a single solution should be in a state of not initiated yet, right? So that's about status of solution implementation, and finally confirmation of implementation. This is very important. Let me read it out over here. Solution implementation status email is shared or sent by project manager to senior project manager. So this project manager will communicate the progress of the project, whether this is completed or not, ongoing or in progress or not, or initiated or not. All these updates he need to give it to his manager, senior project manager, right? So senior project manager confirm implementation in a mail to business owner, and if needed to client as well, right? So as team lead, assistant manager with the help of ground level team will implement the solution. Team lead communicate it to the project manager, or project manager on weekly basis check it out whether solutions are properly implemented or not. So he'll be responsible one. Why? Because he need to share it with his senior, with his supervisor, with his boss, right? And his boss supposed to confirm it by sharing the updates on the project with business owner, that is the vice president, his boss, for that matter, and with the client. So all of them will be in a loop, and all of them will be updated about solution implementation. So just count how many parties are involved into this particular activity. One, ground level team; two, supervisor; three, assistant manager; four, project manager; then fifth will be your senior manager, and sixth will be vice president, and finally seventh will be client. Of course, client, vice president, senior manager, and for that matter, project manager are not going to implement it. They're not directly associated, but the ground level team, supervisor, and assistant manager are directly associated and responsible to implement the given solution. So these are this is the solution implementation plan. And of course, it's in an extension, because on a previous slide we had this couple of causes and their solutions, and then next two causes and their solutions. This is about solution implementation plan. Let's go to next slide. We'll continue. So we are done with solutions implementation plan now. Please remember, before implementation, it is recommended that you let ground level team know what is the problem, what are the causes and solutions that we are planning to implement for next 1 month. After all, they are the one who are going to implement solutions, right? If needed, train them with solutions to be implemented, and most importantly, give them at least a week's time to adjust with new solutions. Hence, to summarize, next 1 week would be allocated for solution implementation and solving team's queries. This is called a sensitization phase. While deploying, just a moment. So while deploying solutions, we should have a review meeting to review challenges in deploying solutions and to fix them. Sometimes allocate few critical processes allocate 2 weeks timeline for sensitization. It totally depends on how easily implementable given solutions are. By the way, can anyone tell where have we heard condition of how easily implementable solutions are? Operations team leader mentioned. In step of solution prioritization, this is one of the 4 scanner we have there, right? That feasibility of the implementation. Yes, absolutely. Brilliant, you replied. So now let's spare next 7 days for solution implementations, team sensitization. We will review status of implementation and challenges. Once we implemented solutions, we need to confirm implementation through a mail to senior management. So you got to keep senior management into the loop once we implemented the solutions. You continue. After 7 days of sensitization, next step will be improve phase data collection of project Y for next 1 month. Like in measure phase, in improve phase as well, we will capture NC and C for project Y, but this time we don't go for investigating NCs. During improve phase data collection of 1 month, we will have a review meeting once 15 days. We will review if any new challenge or issue occurs. If so, we will discuss how to fix it to ensure smooth go ahead. So let's meet up again in review meeting after implementation of solutions. You had a review meeting with operations team where you all reviewed challenges and discussed how to fix them. Post a week's time of solution implementation and sensitization, operations team collected improved phase data for 30 days. In this period, team also met up once in 15 days to review challenges and fix them. So after 7 days of sensitization plus 30 days of improved phase data collection, so total of 37 days. After 37 days, let's go to next slide. So after 7 days of sensitization, for next 30 days, team has collected improved phase data. So this is the improved phase data collection. So you could say see over here phase, then day, week, total number of tickets received, all 3 tickets, S1, S2, S3. S1 stand for high level of severity, then S2 stand for mid level of severity, and S3 stand for low level of severity. S1 and S2 need to be fixed as early as possible. And if you're having higher volume of S1 and S2 tickets, you need to have expert working on those tickets, and definitely that consumes lots of cost, because those experts who can resolve those issues will come with a extra or higher cost. So higher the number of S1 and S2 tickets, if you're getting higher the number of S1 and S2 tickets, it will increase the operational cost, and company want to reduce that operational cost by curbing, by understanding why are those S1, S2 tickets are frequently showing up. So if they could fix it, of course they can save the operational cost associated with high number of S1 and S2 tickets, and that is why we are doing this particular project. So total number of tickets received are all 3 types of tickets, S1, S2, S3. Then number of severity 1 and severity 2 tickets received. So out of these tickets, how many are severity 1 and severity 2 tickets? And then severity non-compliance, that's what our metric is. So this is what a data collected for 1 month by the team, that is for 30 days. And the frequency of data collection, of course, is day-wise basis, which you already talked about. Let's go to next slide. Right, so you'll continue after 37 long days. Hello friends, welcome back. Hope you all are well. First of all, congratulations to all for your efforts to implement solutions and fixing challenges that we faced in deploying solutions. Simply amazing. Secondly, I also got to know that manager sir is occupied on client visit today. So assistant manager sir will lead the show today. We will update manager sir on today's proceedings later. Assistant operation manager said, yes, we will continue. Indeed, we all had a very insightful last month and we all are excited to take it ahead. You responded, happy to hear that, sir. Let's move ahead to next step, improvement validation. As title suggests, we have implemented solutions. However, we need to statistically validate whether implemented solutions have reduced problems significantly. We will validate it here in improve phase and also in control phase. In improve phase, we will compare performance of project Y of major phase, that is pre-improvement phase, with project Y of improve phase, that is post-improvement phase, post-implementation of the solution. That is why it is called post-improvement phase. Here, we use two proportion tests to compare proportion of NC of major phase with proportion of NC of improve phase. So you continue. Our null hypothesis here is proportion of NC of improve phase and major phase are same. What it really means is there is no reduction in non-compliance, that is NC in improve phase. Please make a note here. Proportion of NC means ratio of number of defective days in collected data divided by total number of days of data collection in a given phase. So we talked about null hypothesis. Now let's talk about alternative hypothesis. What is alternative hypothesis? Proportion of NC of improved phase are lower than proportion of NC of major phase. What it means is there is significant reduction in non-compliances in NC in improved phase. In other words, performance is improved in improved phase after implementing the solutions. So let's testify it in two proportion test tool shared by Team Break. Are we ready with both improve and major phase data? Assistant Operations Manager replied, just a minute, I will arrange both of these data sets one below another and then copy required columns into proportion tool. He responded, okay, let's deploy two proportion tests in next few minutes. So over next 10, 15, 20 minutes, team has clubbed the data together or combined the data together, selected the required columns and pasted it into Team Break's two proportion tool, and they got the results. So they got a p-value, and then of course they had the inference and conclusions. So let's see what they did and what inference and conclusions they do have. So after 20 minutes. So this is the hypothesis they said. So Y1 is major phase data for severity non-compliance versus Y2 improved phase severity non-compliance data. So what is the hypothesis they said here? Has improved phase severity non-compliance reduced significantly? That is proportion of severity non-compliance of improved phase lower than severity non-compliance of pre-improvement phase? So null hypothesis is proportion of severity non-compliance of improved phase is same to proportion of severity non-compliance of major phase, right? So non-compliances has not been reduced and hence there is no improvement. That's what null hypothesis is saying. What alternative hypothesis is saying, which is direct opposite viewpoint of null hypothesis, right? So alternative hypothesis says proportion of severity non-compliance of improved phase is lower than proportion of severity non-compliance of major phase, right? In other words, non-compliance has been reduced and thus we have improved the performance, right? It means problem has been reduced. That's what problem has been reduced and that's what we wanted to prove. So this is about hypothesis. Let's go to next slide. So as assistant operations manager said, he clubbed or combined both data sets, measure phase data set. This is a phase data set. And then on next slide, we do have improve phase data set, right? So he clubbed both of the data sets together. And of course, not to forget, we have this word measure or improve in this column in a capital letters. And we're not supposed to have any space after the letter of E in improve as well as in a major phase. And of course, we do have this severity non-compliance. This is our column, right? So out of these two club data sets, two important columns which we do need to implement two proportion test is this column. Just a moment, let me use the pointer. So this column, right, for both measure and improve, and then severity non-compliance column, right? So both of these columns we're going to pick and we're going to paste it into two proportion test tool. So let's go ahead and see what team has done, right? Here we could see, this is a snapshot. That's why we could see only measure phase over here. However, we do have a measure phase as well as improve phase clubbed or combined together under this column, and of course project Y here, right? So once we did that, then under event type, we got to mention NC, capital N and capital C. And test type, need to click on a drop down. Here we have a drop down. Click on a drop down and select lesser than sign. Once that is done, of course, you can see here the table. Here we could see NCs are 13 in improve phase and total observations. Since total number of days we collected were 30. So proportion of NC is 43.3%, where for a major phase we had defective days were 22 and total number of days we collected data were 30. So proportion of NC was by that time 73.3%. So mathematically, we have improved the performance from 73.3% to 43.3%. However, have we improved the performance statistically? We need to check that, and for that sake, we will check the p-value. Here, p-value is quite less. It's 0.0092, and hence we can go ahead and infer that since p-value is less than 0.05, we can reject null hypothesis. Hence, we can conclude that proportion of severity non-compliance of improved phase is lesser than proportion of severity non-compliance of major phase. And that is what we wanted to prove in an improved phase. We wanted to validate the improvement, right? So here, since the proportion of NCs of improved phase are significantly less or lower than that of major phase, right? Hence, we're going to conclude that we have attained an improvement. So this is what we have in a two proportion validation test. Assistant operations manager said, we are done in less than 20 minutes. Wow, this team breaks tools are very easy to implement, isn't it? You responded, yes, you're right, sir. All tools are very, very user-friendly and yet accurate. Right. So based on our p-value and two proportion test analysis, we can conclude that we have achieved significant improvement or major phase. Kudos to team for their efforts. Congratulations to all. Let's give a big round of applause for all of us. Please congratulate manager sir as well. Without his support, it was not possible. All clapped and congratulated each other. Then you continued. Now let's move to next step, that is improvement capability analysis. Just like measure phase, we will also calculate improve phase ppm, that is parts per million, and sigma value. Anybody remember how to calculate sigma value in spreadsheet? One of the operations team manager mentioned is equal to norm sin V in bracket 1 minus number of NCs divided by total number of days in improved phase data. You responded, excellent. So let's calculate improved phase capability analysis in next 30 minutes. So next 30 minutes, they capture the data and then they calculated ppm as well as sigma value, right? And this is what they did. They means you and team, of course. Right. So total number of days data collected, 30 days in improved phase as well. Total number of defectives were 13 in improved phase. So number of days with severity non-compliance. So total number of defectives are like number of days with severity non-compliance. That is days when one or more number of severity 1 and severity 2 tickets received by team. So how many defective number of days were there? 13 in improved phase. So proportion defective is nothing but 13 divided by 30, which is 0.4333. So parts per million is 0.4333 into 10 lakhs, that is 1 million. So parts per million is 4,33,333.33, which previously in a major phase was 7,33,333.33. So it has definitely reduced. So sigma value is equal to norm CV in bracket 1 minus k by n. Previously it was minus 0.623, which was pathetic. But right now we have improved it to 0.17. So that is a good start for improvement. So on that note, let's go to next slide. So you continue. Now let's move to last step of improved phase, updating process map. Do you remember we pasted current state process flow chart or process map in defined phase? Let's take that process flow chart and locate process steps where we implemented improved phase solutions. All we need to do is add colored star there or stars there and add solution in it, so that next time onward everybody will use this modified or updated process flow chart. Take next 30 minutes to update process flow chart. So the next 30 minutes, they located the steps where they have implemented the solutions. Then they, mark the star over there and added the solutions over there, so that henceforth, whenever any team member want to implement, this particular process, they will certainly needed to implement these solutions as well, and they will go ahead and implement the solutions as well, right? So this is the updated or modified process map, and that's the final state of the improve phase. This is how it will look. This was the process flow chart previously. Then we added, stars, or this is not star over here. This is like you added the solutions in the boxes here, right? Because those are the quite lengthy solutions, right? So you added solutions. So these solutions at this step, these solutions at this step, this solution at this step you have implemented. So that henceforth, whenever team is going to go through this process flow chart, they will definitely consider implementing these solutions. Not only team, even the training team as well, when they're going to train the freshers or new batches, who are going to join the company, they're going to train them not only on different steps, but they'll also train them on deploying the solutions as well. This is the value of modified or updated process map. So on that note, let's go to next slide. Great. Here we are done with improve phase. Now we will head to final phase of an operations team replied, control phase. You responded, excellent. They all laughed. But what exactly are we going to do in control phase? Let's dive deeper in it in our next episode on control phase. Until then, goodbye and do take care of yourself. But before we end this episode, please like our today's video. Please share it with your friends, family, relatives, neighbors, and people within your network, and let everyone know about our program and how it can be beneficial to them, right? So on that note, Uttishta Bharata, Ma Bharati shall rise again in her full glory. And let's end our today's episode by thanking technology companies. We deeply appreciate following technology companies for their technological support. Thank you so much for watching the video. Let's meet up in the next video. Thanks.